Welcome to the TechSource.tv. My name's Dan, and today we're taking a look at we're reviewing the Fractal Design Define R4 case. So this is the latest revision of it. So some quick notes before we start. The case has now grown in size. It's a little bit wider. It's a tad taller, but it's about the same profile, and still has all the great features we have come to love from the R2 and the R3. So let's go ahead and review this R4. So don't worry, you're not seeing double. Actually, this is the R3 on your right and the R4 on your left. So I'm just going to quickly do a small comparison of the two and where the R4 and the R3 is let off and where the R4 is continued on. A quick glance at the exterior styling. As you can tell, the R3 does not have USB 3. It only has an eSATA port, and now with the R4 we have USB 3, which is really nice. Besides that, you can tell it's a little bit taller, and it's actually a little bit wider. So you can tell that the R4 has grown in size a bit. We're going to do a quick comparison between the two, the R3. So this is the R3 right here. As you can see, it's got a micro ATX motherboard in it, which probably isn't optimal for this setup, and the cabling doesn't look the best, but it could be better. Moving on to the R4. Another note, that R3 has never been cleaned for over 2 years. As well, moving on over to the R4, you can see cable management's a lot better with bigger rubber grommets and better placement instead of multiple small ones, and also with a removable hard drive cage, which is a lot better. Everything else is pretty much the same, a little bit more room in the interior, and we're just going to do a quick pan out to show you the both. As you can see, just the R4 just looks a lot neater and better as overall case. The R3, you can tell, it's still a great case, but the R4 is a considerable upgrade. The exterior of the Fractal Design Define R4. As you can see, we have the version of the case in black. It comes in a few other colors, like titanium and white. I prefer the black. It's got more of an elegant look to it. It's a nice clean look to the case because the whole case is black. And also one of the really cool details, if you look up, it's got a brushed aluminum face on it. And as well, this door hinges open, and we'll show you more of that later. Let's just quickly go over some of the quick external features of this case. We got ventilation down every side of the case, on the front of it. So that's your front intake air, as well as we have ventilation on the side of the case and on the top of the case. So I'll show you the side first. As you can see, there's actually no hole there, even though you can't see through the hole. That's because there's a sound dampener installed. And that's to block any air going in or out. And also it helps for sound dampening. As you can see, it's the same on the top. As well as on the top of the case, you can install 120 or 140 millimeter fans, and as well as you can install an H100, so a 2x120 rad. So I'll just quickly grab mine here. And I'm not going to actually install it in the case, but you can line it up. The screws do line up for spacing, and it does work. So you can install, if you want, a all-in-one water cooling solution, or you can do a full custom loop, and you can do a 2x120 radiator in the top of the case here, which would be perfect for a case like this because it's a silent case and you want to do water cooling because it's a lot quieter than air cooling. As well as on the top of the case, we have our standard I/O out. So I'll show you that. So we have two USB 2.0s, two USB 3.0s, our power LED button here. So it's kind of all built into one. Our reset headphone and microphone, so very cleanly laid out. And over, I'd say, the R3, which is the previous version, you get two more USBs, and they're the USB 3s. So that's just to go with a newer case, really. And on the other side of the case, it is completely plain, and you got the ventilation. And a nice little touch down here at the bottom is the chrome feet. I'm going to show you the front of the case, but it's behind the door. And, well, the door is actually really nicely done. It's got the elegant finish, as I said, and it's just held with magnets. So if you close it it kind of just shuts on its own, which is really nice, and it holds it really nicely. No stupid clips to break or any of that stuff, like pushing on it. So it's really nice how they did it with the magnets. As well as on the inside, as you can see, we have the nice sound insulation here. We have a nice basic looking interior behind the door. You know, I think the whole I kind of look at this case so far, it's very simplistic and clean, which I really like. You'll see more of that once we go inside. So we have the DVD drive goes here. We have our other one, and it's actually really easy to change, add drive bays. You just kind of open it up, take it out, and you can put it back in. Let me just make sure I line it up right. Oop. And I'm failing. And it goes in really easily, as well as here's our front ventilation port. So that's for our 2 front intake fans. You can put either 2 120s or 2 140s. It comes with one pre-installed 140. You lower that, and it reveals your fans and your dust filter. There's a tab here. You push it. You can lift your dust filter right out, so it makes it super easy for cleaning and for accessing your fans. Now, one really cool, neat feature I want to show you. Lift this out. Pull this out here. So as you can see, here's our fans. Now, here is mounting for the 120s, right here. Here's the screw holes. Here's the screw holes. See this section here? This is where I think you can mount a radiator. You can probably take out the, from the looks of it, you can take out the entire front, all the front drive bays, and then mount a radiator on it. It's super easy to remove the drives if you don't want to screw them in. So, I mean, not the drives, the fans. If you don't want to screw them, you just kind of flex this unit, and the fans come right out. So it's really nice. But for 120, it's not toolless. So it's kind of a downside, but that's okay. This was more so designed for 140s. So as you can see, it snaps in nicely back into its groove. And then you just kind of put the whole unit back in, and it's good to go. One other really cool feature I want to show you that's kind of hidden on this case that I almost missed during the unboxing is this little tab right here. As you can see, it says 12 volt, 7 volt, and 5 volt. That's a fan controller up to 3 fans. Now, I'm not 100% sure how many watts per channel it can do, but I wouldn't doubt you can do more than 3 fans on it if you put a splitter on it. So you can probably run your CPU cooler off it that has 2 fans and maybe some chassis fans. So you got high speed, medium speed, and low speed. So really cool. It's nicely put there. It's hidden, which is really nice, and I like that. We're going to take a quick look at the back of the case. So as you can see, the whole back of the case is nicely laid out. We have our bottom mounted power supply with the dust filter, as well as there's a rubber grommet on the power supply that actually acts for anti-vibration and helps dust, which is really nice. So as you can see, I'm going to zoom in here and try to show you that. You can see the little gasket that's there, and that's a really nice feature to have, and it helps, you know, with dust and sound and all that stuff. As you can see, we have all our expansion slots that are white and ventilated. A side one for, you know, for example, a fan controller. Nice grab handles for pulling off the side panels. 120 or 140 millimeter fan. 140 comes installed. Nice ventilation across the top. And this is where your IOD shield plate gets installed if you like them. So let's take a quick look at the interior of the case and see, you know, what's what. So inside the case, as you can see, we put a pretty decent system in here. You know, we got a full-size ATX motherboard, a generously good-size video card that takes up dual slots, a massive CPU cooler that is actually really tall, as well as, you know, we got not a lot of hard drives. I only have 1 hard drive, but you can put up to 8 hard drives in this case. So check that out. That's pretty awesome. So, and only 2 DVD drive bays. But hey, if you don't need all those hard drives, for example, like I don't right now, and I would want more cooling. So to improve the cooling in the case, you can just easily remove 2 thumb screws that go here, and then you just pull out your hard drive cage. So now you're limited down to 3 hard drives, which isn't a problem, because if you're going to make this a gaming case, then totally. All you need is your data drive, a boot drive, and a game drive. Done. So an SSD, say 120 gig SSD, and then a 1 terabyte black as your game drive, and then maybe a 2 terabyte green as your data drive. Perfect. You got an amazing computer setup right there, and it all fits down here. And say if you want to make this case a server down the road, then easily pop the extra drive bays in, and now you're up to 8 hard drives. So you're perfect for that. So this case kind of suits a lot of different needs, which is really cool. And it's very similar to the original R3, but you know, it has removable hard drive base now. So you got 2 DVD drives, which isn't a lot, but you know, most people are probably going to be using this. Probably don't really need all that. And on the average computer, you don't really need a DVD drive anyways. So on my personal system, I don't even have one anymore. So let's check out some other cool features about this case. As I said, you can fit a very large CPU cooler. We still got a bit of room to spare. We got to think about 1.5 inches still to go. So you can put something that's even taller than that. And this has 14 centimeter fans on here, which are very large fans. It's an NZXT Hawk 140, I think it's called. And it's a very big CPU cooler, and it fits in there actually really nicely. As well as our full-size ATX motherboard fits in there well. We're also running some cable extensions here, so that means there's lots of cables back there. We're running a non-modular power supply, and I'll show you the back in a second. But we're running a non-modular power supply, as you can see. It's a 750 watt unit. So that's a lot of wires back there, and they all fit back there. And check out the cabling job I did on this thing. Not very many wires. It's pretty clean. It's a very clean setup, and it's super easy to really clean up. And it's a really easy case to build in. I couldn't believe how easy it is. The only spots where I found I had a little bit of issues of placement of rubber grommets were the two here. This one's in a good spot. Now, the other one is a little high. I'd like it if it came down a bit more, they made it a bit longer, but that's okay. It's still in a good spot. You know, with these cables, you can run them up a bit. It just looks a little awkward, or if you want, you could run them around like how I did the USB 3, because the USB 3 on this motherboard is right here. So I ran it around, which actually looks good. And that's just because the USB 3 connectors are really big, and I can't wait till they make them smaller. They're a bit large. Like, why don't they make them like the USB 2 connectors, the way they have the connectors on them? So it's a lot smaller, compact. Other things is the airflow in this case is really nice, and you got good dust filters in the front of the case. You can there's 240 millimeter fans. Now the case only does come with the two fans, these two top ones. These two were from our Fractal Design Arc case. I borrowed them from, and so you can put 240 millimeter fans in here, or 220s, which is really nice. And they got dust filters. We also have a dust filter down here for a bottom intake fan that could be 120 or 140, so which I really like. Every fan slot on this case has options for 120 or 140, and that's something I really like to see, because there's, a lot of people still have a lot of 120s and say you want to run 120s instead. You can do that, or if you want to run 140s, you can run 140s. So right now, the way this case is set up, actually every fan in it, besides the power supply and the video card, are 140s. So we have two 140s here, two 140s here, and two 140s here, and it's a dead silent case, because it doesn't help with the sound. It really helps with the sound dampening. That's on the back. We have sound dampening right here covering this slot, so I'll show you it. It's very hard to see because it's all dark, but there's sound dampening up here, and there's sound dampening on the actual inside of the case, on this side of the case. So let me pull the side panel out, and I'll show you the inside of that, and I'll show you these sound dampeners. So as you can see, this is the sound dampening material. Even when you knock it, it's very quiet. And this is the noise blocker, I'd call it, or the dampener. So say you don't need the fan, you put this in there and in placement of the fan, and basically, yeah, you're going to restrict a bit of airflow, but in turn, you're not getting that hole in the case, you're not getting the noise, and it's got a nice, material on it that does dampen the sound. So I have this one here, and I have the one on the top, and it does come with one for the top fan up here, because when the stock configuration of fans, it comes with one fan in the front and one fan in the back. I mean, I've reversed it. So front, back, that's the way the stock configuration, 220s, and they spin very low RPM, and I like how they look, the black and white theme they got. So the way the whole kind of case looks, it flows really nice with, the black power supply, the white and black cooler, the white and black fans, white and black hard drives. It looks really cool, so it's got a nice look to it. It'd be awesome maybe if I painted the video card, maybe painted that white. It'd be really cool. So it's got a nice flow on the inside of the case, and I really like that. So behind the motherboard tray, because it's very important to show that, and to show really how much room is behind there. So let's pull up the side panel. Let me lower that. As you can see, the side panel as well on the back has the nice sound dampening material. And there's lots of wires, and it's a giant mess. But I did organize it as much as I can. So I got the wires for the fans and the fan controller wiring down here, which is nice. The front panel connectors coming up along here. Our USB 3 cable comes around here and goes around the motherboard tray. Now the reason why I went for that was because the USB 3 cable and where the mounting is, it doesn't really have a lot of flex. And that's just kind of the way USB 3 internal headers are. We have our 6-pin power coming up here, changing over to our, coming up here and kind of wrapping around again, and then changing over to our braided cable extensions, which is cool. So check this out. I've been able to fit cable extensions for our two 6-pin powers, and our 8-pin power, and our 24-pin power. So that's really crazy that we can fit all that back there. Along with, this is also a 750 watt power supply. That is not modular. That's a lot of cables. You can vaguely see in there, we have a big CPU cutout that goes about from here to here and here. So it's a really good size, and that for our CPU cooler, we could easily change the CPU cooler without any hassle. So it's an excellent size for that. And any other cool notes I just want to think of? As you can see, I have all my I have room down here to put any extra cables for hard drives and things like that. So, and there's a good amount of room behind the motherboard tray. I'd say probably a good couple centimeters of room. And I'll have a clip of that with the ruler showing you the actual room. I'd say there's probably about 2.5 centimeters of room there. Now I'm going to show you how easy the side panel goes back on. Now this is going to be our new way of testing. I've done it on a few cases already, of showing how efficient A, my cabling job is, and B, how much room there is behind the motherboard tray. So let's try to put this case panel back on with the case like this. Alright, and it's on. Very little effort needed, and that just goes to show how well Fractal Design made the back of that case. Lots of places to tie down our cables, and also lots of room back there to hide all our cables, including a 750 watt power supply that's non-modular with cable extensions. I showed you all the features of the case. As you can see, I just have the side panel open here just to show you the interior again. I'm thoroughly impressed on how well the wires cleaned up on here. You know, with cable extensions and a non-modular power supply, it really cleaned up really nicely this case. So that's really impressive. And the side panel actually goes on relatively well. Not a lot of forces needed, and there's good ample room behind that tray. Other really cool things I really liked about this case are the 240 millimeter fans included, so that's nice to see. Every fan slot is backwards compatible with 120s or 140s, so support for both on every fan slot, which is cool. Good dust filters in the front, dust filter on the bottom, as well as for your power supply. It's easily removable on both. Like you can just pull them out like no problem and put it back in, which is good. You always want easy access to things like that. So that's really nice. As well as I like how there's sound dampening on the entire case. Now that's something to be expected from the Define series. That's what they're known for. And as well as the blockers they have. I've seen other cases that have sound dampening, but they never put something to cover the fan hole. And a lot of noise is going to escape through the fan hole because it's a hole. And now having something there, it blocks the sound and it makes it a lot quieter, the case. So really nicely thought out. Other cool features I noticed over the older version of the R3, which we showed you, is the removable drive tray, better cable management, slightly larger case, which is good because you get more room for a taller CPU cooler such as this one, and more room behind the motherboard tray. So really awesome features there. As well as aesthetically, this case, I think it looks great. Some people may say it looks like a fridge because it's very plain looking, but I don't care. It looks awesome, I think. It's a nice clean case, and that's something I like. Even the wiring, the way it cleans up very nicely, it looks good. So that's nice. My only one complaint I have about it, and it's a very small complaint, and that's really just kind of nitpicking, I'd say, let's just move the case a bit so you can get a better look. If you look at the 24-pin connector and the rubber grommet where it goes, I'd say the rubber grommet should come down just a tad. Besides that, that's my only real complaint, and even then, that's not really a complaint because you could just run the 24-pin connector around the motherboard tray like I did with the USB 3.0 cable. And that's it. Besides that, I'd say this is a near-perfect case, and if you're looking for a case that's quiet, fits lots of hardware, and lots of hard drives, or if you want a stupid long video card and only 3 hard drives, perfect case. So it has lots of different configurations that will work for many different setups, and they definitely thought of a lot of them. So the R4 is an excellent case if you're looking for something that is a mid-tower case. Won't really break the bank. The R3s, I remember them going on sale for about $100 to $130, so it's not a super expensive case. I haven't seen any R4s on sale yet at any local stores, but they will be soon. So anyways, guys, thanks for watching TechSource.tv. This is the R4, and it's an amazing case for sure. So please remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Like us on Facebook for any updates and things like that. We post pictures of these builds and random things I find on the internet I'll post there that are somewhat comical. As well as follow us on Twitter. Most of our Twitter posts are updated by our Facebook, but sometimes I post other things on there. And if you need to get a hold of us for simple questions, it's a good way to get a hold of us. It's better than kind of messaging us through the comments. And that's pretty much about it. So see you guys next time on the TechSource.tv.